Every year people ask, I wonder what Game of the Year is going to be this time around. Usually for the better part of a decade, Game of the Year has had one thing in common, for the most part. Single player driven, with either RPG elements or light RPG elements, mostly anyways, outside of It Takes Two and Astrobot winning at the Game Awards, which were platformers. The only other game to win Game of the Year in about 10 years was Overwatch, that was strictly multiplayer. Besides that, it's all been single player games to some capacity. Crimson Desert, by the way, is almost here, and you'd be stupid to think that we're not about to see the biggest launch of the year thus far. That is, unless GTA 6 comes out this year, then yes, that will eclipse that of course. But if GTA 6 gets delayed again, then we're probably about to see the biggest launch of the year pretty much very, very soon. And that should scare those kinds of people who only want to make the forever games. You know the kinds. Always online and the like, because the more you look into Crimson Desert and what it's promising, the crazier it actually gets. But before we begin, let's start with a brief mention from the sponsor of this video, Snaxy. Snaxy is an app you can use on your mobile devices or on your web browser that allows you to earn money and more by just playing games. It's as simple as signing up for the app, clicking an eligible game, and linking it to your account. Then you can just play the games, and through milestones, you can redeem your game time for things like PayPal or even Amazon gift cards. Use my link to download Snaxy and get up to $10 as a sign-up bonus by playing the games you like and start earning right away, but a reminder to open this link on your mobile device for the best experience possible. It's really as easy as it sounds, just sign up, play games you like, and keep enjoying real rewards. You can even link your PayPal account to it so you can make the payouts reach you even easier. It's a simple way to make your downtime pay you back in ways that reward you. It really is as simple as it sounds. Just open Snaxy, swipe through the offers in Games Discovery, pick a game you like, and that's pretty much it. Apart from PayPal or Amazon, you can even redeem your points for Netflix gift cards or turn your points into cards for PlayStation, Steam, Nintendo, Xbox, and more. Also a part of Snaxy is Aniba, which is trusted by over 15 million customers, has over 280,000 reviews with a 4.3 star score, and also has great prices on new games like Crimson Desert. You can even cash out your Snaxy rewards directly to your Aniba wallet to spend on games, so users who use Snaxy can actually snag Crimson Desert or really any other game for a heavy discount or free depending on how they play. And don't forget to check out Aniba via the link in the description or pinned comment alongside Snaxy as well. So if you want to start earning while you're playing anyway, check the link in the description or pinned comment and download Snaxy and start earning while you play, and also check out Aniba with the link provided in that same pinned comment and description as well. Thanks again to Snaxy for sponsoring this video, and now let's get back to it. But anyways, Crimson Desert is almost here. According to Alinea Analytics, which analyzes data on video games, as seen here, this is pre-launch stats by the way, just so that I'm clear. Crimson Desert had sold somewhere near 363,000 copies and made over $20 million already before its official release. Granted, reviews should be coming out shortly too, and if those are glowing, these will skyrocket even more. Other interesting stats given by Reese Elliott, who runs Alinea, is that about 10% of those sales came in a single day, which generated somewhere around $2.6 million in sales on Steam alone. Beyond that, Crimson Desert is also at over 3 million wish lists already, with a majority of these people, I'm guessing, waiting on reviews to see the performance of the game. Some other really interesting stats at Steam, at least, as you can see here, Alinea states that currently Crimson Desert is outperforming Kingdom Come 2 by 4 times and Clair Obscur by around 10 times what it made in its debut as well. So, like I said, big release if everything lands the way that it needs to, and if it does, Pearl Abyss, which made this game, is about to make a lot of money really, really fast here. In terms of what Crimson Desert actually entails, the numbers start to get really crazy. People on Reddit, for example, have been trying to quantify just how large the world of Crimson Desert is really going to be. IGN back in January, as seen here, confirmed that the PR manager for Crimson Desert claimed that the game's map size was double that of Red Dead Redemption 2, which Reddit of course then decided to figure out, and is seen here. This means that roughly Crimson Desert's world is about 150 square kilometers, which would be, yeah, about double of Red Dead 2. And I mean, if you played Red Dead Redemption 2, which I mean you probably have, it's in the top 5 highest selling games of all time, you know how big that world is. Now imagine that, but it's now double the size, and it's full of dungeons and dragons and goblins and mechs and towns, and there's also floating levels above you in the sky, as well as God knows what else there is, right? That's a lot of game for just $70. I mean, I already bought the game and have it pre-installed on my PS5 as we speak. I'm just kind of patiently waiting for the release date to come. I can only imagine how much money a game of this size is going to make. There was also some other stats that came out about Crimson Desert as seen here. 76 unique bosses, 467 unique characters, 110 different factions, which sounds unreasonably large, but okay, 401 monsters, 573 territories, 94 collectibles, and more. That faction part especially confuses me because what do you mean there's 110 factions? Like, wait, is like each of them their own guild with their own quests and things to do? I'm confused. I don't know yet, but that kind of sounds ridiculous to me, but hey, I'm going to play it either way. But actually, one review for Crimson Desert did come out early though, which came from a South Korean streamer named GTTI. I don't know how to say this person's name. Maybe it's pronounced Gotti. I have no idea, but anyways, this streamer revealed his full thoughts on the game, claiming that the character swapping is very similar to how GTA 5 does it, and that when you actually swap to one of the 3 playable characters, it just immediately flicks to the one you select as they're in the middle of doing whatever it is that they're doing. One time, this reviewer apparently swapped to Unga, I think that's how you say his name. He's the playable green orc looking guy in the game, and when he did that, Unga was in the middle of like a big battle, so the streamer had to fight his way out before doing whatever it is that he wanted to do. This streamer guy also claimed that he beat the game without the day 1 patch, and according to him, he only experienced minor bugs on PC. This same streamer claimed that he also played Red Dead 2 for somewhere around 600 hours, and he said that he did the same with Crimson Desert as well, so 600 hours, mind you, fathom that, I don't know, I guess we'll see. He said the world design is insane, and every piece of content draws you with a sense of purpose and doesn't feel like it's a checklist. The main story apparently can be brutally hard if you don't upgrade your characters, which I mean, that's obvious, so yeah, level up your characters, duh. And every region has its own difficulty setting, with going east on the map or north, for example, the difficulty apparently goes up. I guess you could think of it sort of like how Assassin's Creed does the regions per difficulty, sort of like that, and he played it on PC at 1440p without any frame drops or stutters, and the music is also apparently amazing too. Inventory space is also limited at first, but expands as you play, so it becomes a non-issue, and the biggest praise the streamer gave the game was that it was, in his own words, the game of his life, based on what he played. He said that he played about non-stop 10 hours a day since he got the review code. He said that he no-lifed it to finish the game's story for the review. But even though he did that, he still has not seen 50% of the bosses in the game at least. He also said the story has many twists, and ultimately he compared the game to how he felt when he first played The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time when he was a kid. The exact phrase he said when speaking about Crimson Desert was to savor it because this is as good as it's going to get for a very long time. So, it's safe to say this guy thought Crimson Desert was crazy good. I will link his video in the description box if you want to watch his thoughts on it. It's an hour and 26 minutes long of him just fully explaining what he thought of the game ahead of release. I can't imagine Pearl Abyss will probably be mad about this one since the dude, praises the game like crazy, of course. But it's not only the reviews that are going to be a big deal. The other thing that really interests me about Crimson Desert is the engine that the game is built on, which is called Black Space Engine. Most games these days use Unreal Engine 5, unfortunately, which is very hit or miss, and Crimson Desert's engine, however, is specifically built for this game alone, which allows Black Space to be customized and built to render these large open worlds with features like the seamless world streaming and ray tracing that's built into the game itself. The problem I have with Unreal Engine 5 is that it not only makes most games exist on a level playing field, but it also means that every game using that same engine is also limited in the same ways as well. Then the same problems must be tackled regardless of the game or genre that's built on it, and it's like less about innovation, honestly, and it's more so about like how the whole safe committee driven by design, if you will, not really games being made that are built by a vision, but more so, I guess, consensus, if that makes sense. But also because so many games that use Unreal Engine 5, it makes many things being built on it to not really feel bold or very sharp or as alive as they should be. It's also because by every game for the most part adopting Unreal Engine 5, it's obviously to make outsourcing easier too. Since if everybody works on the same engine and they're familiar with it, it'll be easier to send that work needed to other teams outside of the core development studio. Crimson Desert, however, like I said, doesn't seem to be doing this because Black Space is Pearl Abyss's own engine. And if that streamer is to be believed, then we're getting a game cooked by a very unique team with a specific engine just for this game alone. But what I find so interesting about Crimson Desert is that what it's showing, from like a technical standpoint at least, is that it's achieving what a lot of other studios have been claiming is just too difficult these past few years. You know, seamless world travel, the physics-based interactions, the dynamic combat systems, all running on an engine that is built for this game specifically. It's awesome to see what was used to be the norm again, right? Where it's not some licensed tool being used across the industry all the time, or having like a shared pipeline mentality like they do now. It's just a focused piece of technology that is built to serve this very specific vision instead. But this is also where it gets uncomfortable if you're not Pearl Abyss. Because, as we all know, a lot of modern AAA development pipelines are, let's be real, kind of bloated. They're layered with tons of management, which is then fragmented across various departments. The creative vision is usually always hampered by the risk mitigation of the people that are higher up the food chain too. Every system change has to be approved, every idea has to be justified, every mechanic has to be something that people are already familiar with, otherwise it can't really be done, and then it just kind of results in the same thing. It's just friction, right, in development, in design, and obviously in the final product once you actually play the thing. And then when you add in the whole outsourcing, which is so commonplace now across everything, it makes you feel even more disconnected when you play most AAA games. As if it wasn't the same team making the things you enjoyed in it, because that's exactly what it is. It's not exactly crafted with love maybe, but instead assembled, right? Kind of like an IKEA bed set in a way. That's kind of how I look at a lot of AAA games these days. Now, that's not to say that Pearl Abyss didn't use outsourcing. I assume that they did, but the key is to ensure that it all feels seamless, so that the paying customer doesn't see that or feel like that's the case. So everything I see from Crimson Desert, it just feels like a statement, right? Like, how else am I supposed to say it, you know? Like, sure, it has a scale and all that, but it's the focus that really impresses me here. Like, they had a real clear direction with what they wanted to do. And the fact they built a whole engine for this one very specific direction that they wanted to go in, that's really, really cool to see, honestly, I gotta admit. The problem, you see, is when most Western studios, anyways, they tend to chase tools that in theory should be able to do everything, but then it usually leads to systems that don't do any one thing amazingly well. Not saying that Unreal Engine 5 is bad. There are games made on that are great, but it's not exactly tailor-made for every single game or genre that gets made on it, you know what I'm saying? But when you get a cool game like this, I mean even Baldur's Gate 3 for example was made on Larian's own in-house engine too, which helps support this as well, is that when these developers make games on very specific engines for their games, the gap just becomes impossible to ignore. Because once you see what's actually possible, the paying customer won't exactly be accepting the excuses anymore. And that's usually where the cope comes in, right? Suddenly, oh, it's too complex, but that doesn't really work anymore. Suddenly saying that it takes time to fix the game doesn't exactly justify the broken launches that we've seen already, or saying that's just how development works. It's just going to come off as sounding hollow. And that's the real issue. Not that Crimson Desert exists, but that it exposes everything around it by just being what it is. If Crimson Desert does end up hitting its landing, you're going to see another Elden Ring or Baldur's Gate situation again, where many companies and websites and such will be slammed with that question, which is, why aren't other studios capable of doing this too? And for many of those companies, they're not going to have a good answer for that, because it ends up being a shift where the ambition of what these games can be is not really being limited by the tech, but by the structure of it. I mean, we've seen smaller studios like all the time now with far more focused teams that are outperforming the massive organizations seemingly all of the time now, because these big companies are being weighed down by their own systems, because true innovation actually comes from those who are willing to take risks and actually try something new, instead of those not willing to try because they want to avoid it or something. And that, dear viewer, is where it changes everything, because the moment people start noticing that things are being held back or not being made great on purpose, people will start demanding better, and you can't blame them. And that is a really scary proposition if you are in the business of making very big video games. Sure, okay, the industry maybe operated under the assumption that bigger always meant better. And look, Crimson Desert is effectively bigger in size, than anything pretty much ever made so far, like, let's be honest. But at least what's unique about Crimson Desert is what it's doing. From everything I've seen anyways, is that while it does have the scale, it also seems to have the focus too. Where it has the complexity, somehow Pearl Abyss has that clarity also. And it's that true technical mastery that belongs to those who are willing to actually pursue those new peaks. And that is without compromise. So when I look at Crimson Desert, it's not just another upcoming release. No, it's kind of a warning, honestly, because if Pearl Abyss is even able to deliver on even half of what they've showed, then the rest of this industry won't just look outdated, they're gonna look exposed. And I mean, come on, with everything going on lately with the games failing, people being sick of that online stuff, and now you have this game coming out of all things. The size of a freaking country pretty much, and it's single player, and you can take it at your own pace. This is just going to make that side of the whole argument even more mad, but also, let's be real, when a game of this size does drop, what does that then mean for everyone else? Because like no one's going to be able to buy any games if they just bought Crimson Desert. That's all they're going to play. Because if this thing ends up being hundreds of hours long, like where's the time to go play this other game coming out or keep up with this live service one? Like, it's not going to happen. Everyone's just going to be playing this if it ends up being great, and then if that does happen, it's pretty much cooked for anyone not called Pearl Abyss at the moment. Look, at the end of the day, a game like this is either going to do two things, right? It's going to be amazing or a failure. There's really no in between here. And also what I found interesting was all the talk about how they weren't showing console footage, so naturally, here's some PS5 console footage directly captured from Pearl Abyss themselves that they released, as you can see on screen now. The game is running natively here on PS5, the base model by the way, and this comes from PlayStation Japan's YouTube page. The game looks perfectly fine in my opinion, and at one point, Cliff jumps off the platform and you can see the entire world below him rendering in real time. So I guess you tell me from what you're seeing if what's being shown is laggy or choppy, but honestly, I think it looks totally fine. I mean, I'll be playing it on PS5 Pro myself, but it seems even on PS5 it looks mostly fine to me, but again, let me know what you think. I guess we'll have to see. And if I sound a bit different here, it's because I'm recording this part of the video later on in the same day, because as this video was being made, the reviews have finally come out, so let's go look at those now, shall we? Okay, first off we have GameSpot, which called Crimson Desert a spectacular open world with thrilling combat that is let down by its narrative and some quality of life issues, as seen here. GameSpot gave the game a 7 out of 10, saying that Crimson Desert's world is stunning, its combat is great, and its movement systems work really well. But on the flip side, its narrative is not strong, its quest design to them feels checklisty, and things like the inventory management is bad, which is those quality of life issues that they brought up earlier. Vice, however, was like way more glowing. As you can see here, they called it the most ambitious open world game since Red Dead Redemption 2. They spent somewhere near 100 hours in the game so far, and they admit they have not done near to anything that's available yet. As seen here, they're calling the game worthy and breathtaking, and that you can't quantify just how big the world really is until you play it yourself. Again, citing how the locations found in the sky are just as impressive, which, okay, that seems interesting. Vice then says, as you can also see here, that even with a flying mount like a dragon, it took them hours to go from one side of the world map to the other, and that the biomes were all over that brought everything together, which is also interesting. Another big highlight is apparently the game does not hold your hand, as in it doesn't tell you that you can't do anything or where to go, so you're free to go anywhere you please, which is great, because honestly too many modern games these days hold your hand constantly, so that is nice to see. Vice also says the best comparison to Crimson Desert for them was Breath of the Wild. They said that it feels like the next step in that evolutionary stage according to them. Vice also said that Crimson Desert has a system that allows you to connect to every NPC in a town, for example, so that you're constantly fed side quests to do, from the more mundane things like grab the thing for the guy or beat up the bandits to more complex quests too. Vice also claims that Crimson Desert's combat is like Devil May Cry if it had a baby with a wrestling game, because there's tons of weapons and combos, and alongside being able to toss enemies around and suplex them as well. Beyond this, according to Vice again, as I highlighted here for you to see, Crimson Desert's skill tree, in their opinion, is one of the best iterations of such a concept in a game that they have ever seen. This is how Vice explained the skill system. In Crimson Desert, you get magical abilities from the Abyss. For example, one of the first powers you get as Cliff is the Axiom Force power. It's essentially a magical grappling hook. In the opening chapters of the game, it's mostly used to rotate puzzle pieces, but after you put more skill points into it, it becomes one of the most valuable traversal tools. Not only will you be able to use the hook to quickly scale walls, but at level 3 you can actually fling Cliff across the map like Spider-Man using web slinging. It's almost too amazing to describe. Seriously, your character literally gets hurled across the world at hyper speed and starts spinning like Sonic the Hedgehog. You can also use an ability called Force Palm, and then you can combine that apparently with this grapple hook ability to pretty much make your character into like a bowling ball that just smashes guard towers into pieces too. The game also has a generous respec system according to Vice, so if you don't like what you have, you can just reset and pick other things. But apparently one of the bad things is the game does have brutal difficulty spikes too. Apparently an early on boss has 3 whole phases to them, and it's implied that you have to use the crafting system a lot to keep yourself topped with potions and whatnot too. And like Skyrim, you can gain what are called life tools, which are like, pickaxes and fishing rods pods, etc., and then go find your own ores and wood. Bring that back to town, and then make armor and weapons, among other things too. There's also a system called Hero Contribution. Apparently every region, there's 5 by the way, has their own ranking for this system. And as you unlock things, complete missions, you beat monsters, help people, etc., this hero bar then increases per the region you're in. So it's sort of like a currency ranking system that you can use with a special merchant then to unlock special items for helping people in the world. So yeah, there's gonna be a lot there to do too, but overall Vice gave Crimson Desert a 5 out of 5, calling it best in class and found it to be a generational game. So this tells me that this is going to be the sort of game that's going to have wildly varying opinions based on who you are as a player and what you're looking for. So if you like open world games with tons to explore, like let's say an Elden Ring or a Skyrim, yeah, you're going to love this game. But if you hate that sort of thing, well, you know what you're going to think then. Some reviews were very, very negative though. As seen here, Shack News gave the game a 5 out of 10. Critical Hits, for example, it's another website, gave it a 4.5 out of 10, calling it an ambitious open world that falls short of expectations. Critical Hits also hated the story and felt like the side content was nothing more than generic MMO tasks according to them. IGN, as of right now, hasn't scored the game themselves fully, but they said if they had to score it now, they would give it, as you can see, a 6 out of 10. Forbes, for example, is seen here, said the game is amazing, and they would give it a 9.5 out of 10. So as you can see, this is all over the place. None of these reviews are really the same. This is either the greatest game ever made or complete hot garbage, depending on who you ask pretty much at this point. As of right now, with me writing this anyway, Crimson Desert has a 77 on Metacritic, which I'm sure people thought would be higher. It was at 79, but has since dropped. No idea where it will be once every review is counted though. I'm already seeing comments on Twitter of people saying that we shouldn't listen to game reviewers about this, and personally, I tend to make my own mind up when playing games anyways, in case you haven't noticed. Since games I like sometimes don't score high neither, yet I like them anyways. Of course, these days when it comes to game reviewers, it's hard to know if anyone reviewing things isn't coming from a malicious space or not, or they want this game or that to fail on purpose. Plus, when you factor in how nobody can really agree on anything these days, you'll have those who say, why listen to people who hate you anyways, which is, fair enough. Look, the only reason why I'm bringing this all up is pretty simple. It's for transparency and clarity. It's just to show you guys what people are saying right now. And again, based on all the reviews, it's either this game is a masterpiece or this game is worse than Gollum or something else. I guess it will all come down to whether you like this sort of game in the first place. So if you enjoy the open worlds to explore and discover and all that, this is for you. And also, granted, all these reviews are pre-day one patch, so who knows if that day one patch fixes issues that these reviews have problems with in the first place. But either way, this review score stuff is still going to impact things. Do I think it'll still be a massive hit? Yeah, I still do. Might have softened the crush a bit, but time still, the time will tell. Either way, I'll be trying it out myself to see if this game is worth what it's worth, because it seems like this sort of game is kind of my alley. I don't know about anyone else though, I can't speak for them. But either way, I think what Crimson Desert has accomplished here is still interesting. I like that it's polarizing, because when a game is like that, it makes the conversation more interesting. Because it's not as clear cut now. You're going to have people who love the game or hate it, and once players get their hands on it, I wonder if the user scores and word of mouth are going to be absolutely insane or not. This is, by the way, the sort of game that might be decided based on the players' feedback more so than reviewers, but an interesting turn of events either way. But according to Forbes anyways, the game is just ridiculously big, and they have not finished the story because to them it's impossible apparently to see the ending of the main plot given how big this game is. The main story level wise does not scale to your level either, so you can't beeline the main plot or anything like that even if you wanted to. Instead, you're gonna need to play the game beyond its main plot to level yourself up enough, and Forbes' review is based on about 100 hours of gameplay so far. But they admit that they've only just gotten access to the orc guy that you can play as. Yeah, I know, it took them 100 hours to unlock one of the 3 playable heroes who has their own quests and stories and whatnot too. They've only played the female main character for about 10 minutes and the other 100 hours as Cliff exclusively, the main character. Which just makes me wonder how big is this world gonna be if you can be 100 hours into the thing and you just unlocked one of the 3 new characters. It sounds daunting, but kind of fun. According to Forbes, every reviewer they know has also not beaten the game yet, so that means all of these reviews are from initial impressions, yet they scored the game anyway, which They didn't do the marathon, by the way, funny how that works, but take that as you will. There's apparently faction-specific research trees, royal trade wagons that go across the entire world, resource gathering assignment systems, apparently according to Forbes, none of this and then some tanked their system at all. They were even playing the game with a not-so-powerful PC gaming rig, so take that as you will. I could keep going, but I think you get the point. This looks like the type of game that for the people who love these sorts of games, they're going to love this game to bits. And again, a shout out to the sponsor of this video, Snacksy. Remember to check the pinned comment or description so you can start earning while playing and get up to $10 off. And remember to check out Eniba as well for discounts on the latest games too via the link in the description or pinned comment alongside Snacksy as well. And again, thanks to Snacksy for sponsoring this video. And for those of you out there who hate this sort of game, it's going to be ammo for those types to now spit on others with. But either way, it's here, it's real, and it's so big, you're not going to see the end credits for a really long time.